their portfolio. So our goal was to help them to kind of hone their skills and get themselves ready in the case of a position were to become available. There's no entitlement to a position by going through this program, but it helps to get them ready if that ever were to be part of their future path. So I'm going to start with Shannon. Sorry, Joe.
No, it's
I'm going to start with Shannon Patton. She's a teacher of ours at McDowell, and she's going to share a little bit about her path to this program and her project, followed by Joey. Joey Jablonski will be after her.
I'm sure it's just ladies first.
Yes, it is.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me here this evening. I have been teaching in Mill Creek for over 20 years, and it has been a wonderful experience. I think I've taught almost everything there is in social studies, from McDowell Intermediate to McDowell Senior High. I also spent 6 years as the School-Wide Enrichment Program Coordinator, if anybody remembers that program from a while back. Most recently, I'm very proud of the Advanced Placement program that I was able to bring to McDowell, Advanced Placement Comparative Government. It's similar to an Intro to Political Science course. And thank you to the district for supporting that program. I literally started off with 5 brave students, 5. And next year, I'm proud to tell you that I have 67 signed up to take the course. So that's very exciting. It has grown quite a bit in the last 6 years. I finished my educational leadership certification to be a principal last May, and I am excited and anxious to take my skills and my ability to make change and promote positive changes throughout my classroom and now apply it to an entire school. It would be a really exciting opportunity to be able to do that. One of the ways that I was asked to show that, Mr. Hall mentioned that we needed to change our in-school suspension program. If we're honest, it doesn't work for many children. It really doesn't. Who does it work for? It works for the basically great kid who made an error in judgment and ended up in school suspension. And they're embarrassed. They don't want to be there. As a result, it is truly a deterrent for those particular students. But our repeat offenders, they're repeat offenders because it's not a deterrent. And so we needed to find a way to make in-school suspension actually work for those kids. And so I was delighted to take up the challenge of looking at in-school suspension programs. And we're now calling that the focus group. And thank you. I wanted to share a little bit of my research and how we got to that point. The first thing I did was look at local school districts. What do they do with in-school suspension? It really is, in some cases, just another glorified in-school suspension. So I looked beyond Pennsylvania, looked all across the country, little bits here and there. I continued, to be honest with you, to be disappointed. I wasn't seeing the results that we wanted to see. Well, we literally are helping these kids at risk. So I took my research, I went out of the United States, and I was really investigating the research with the European Union and what they're suggesting to their member states. And it's amazing stuff. We have incorporated some of that into our newly redesigned focus room for this coming fall. It's exciting. It will no longer be just a place that we hold kids as a punishment. It's really going to have a therapeutic element to it. Our SAP program director will be in there. She'll be in helping, assisting those students at risk. We're also having a probation officer provide opportunities to teach different lessons, maybe in anger management, in how to work and socialize with others. We're using our guidance counselors, rotating throughout the day so they make constant connections with those kids. The administrators will be in there every afternoon, making sure that the kids not only have created their goals, but that they're fulfilling them. One of the things that's key is having a highly qualified teacher in there all day, so that those students know that they have someone in their corner, someone who's counting on them, wanting them to succeed, helping them figure out what their goals are. In addition to that, I'm really excited as a teacher and hopefully future administrator is the teaching component in that room. So often when we put kids in school suspension, we literally put them in there and say, get your work done. Who's helping them? Odds are those same kids are the ones who struggle in school, but they typically don't fall under special education. They don't have an IEP. So what's wonderful about this is we've coordinated into the day, every single block, one teacher from a specialized area will be in there to help those students. So first block it may be math, and the math teacher will be in there helping the students literally with their math programs. If the students aren't taking math that semester, then that's where that highly qualified teacher comes into play. the kids in there, they need social skills. They need study skills. They're lacking a lot of things that we expect most children get at home, and these kids aren't. And so that is the wonderful part about the program, is that they're literally going to be getting those skills provided by that highly qualified teacher. It's amazing how we've coordinated all that into one. I am very excited to see that come to fruition. It should be an amazing program, and I'm excited to have been a part of it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Joey?
Hi, my name is Joey Jablonski, or Joseph as the PowerPoint presentation says. My wife said it makes me sound more formal, so excited to put that on there. Thank you. So as I said, my name is Joey Jablonski, and I'm a, I guess, fairly recent resident of Mill Creek. I'm actually from Summit, but Pennsylvania. I'm from Cleveland, and I moved here 5 years ago when I got a job in Mill Creek Township School District. I got married, and my wife was a teacher at Fort LaBeouf, and I was living in Cleveland, and I moved here. And upon getting hired at Walnut Creek Middle School, I kind of hit the ground running in terms of leadership. I was hired as the assistant band director at McDowell actually first, before I was approached about a position at Walnut Creek Middle School. And while I was at Walnut Creek, I directed the spring musical, I directed all of the concerts, the talent show, you name it. If it had anything to do with an auditorium, I had something to do with it. I quickly, in the following year, became a union representative and a member of the contract negotiation team. And after earning my bachelor's and master's, I was encouraged to participate in the principal certification program. I will be complete with that program in December of next year. And in the middle of this year, Mrs. Mosley and Dr. Dedish had approached me about taking part in Mill Creek Township School District's Aspiring Leader Program, to which I said it sounded like an excellent opportunity, and I decided to take part in it. I've had numerous levels of leadership outside of MTSD. When I was in Cleveland, I was a camp director for a nationwide music camp, and I was a restaurant manager. A small tidbit that Dr. Dedish told me that I should include was that fun trivia for me is that I was the youngest manager in Dairy Queen history. I was 14 years old and making soft serve and showing everybody how to do that and running a shift and making schedules and doing budgets and things like that at 14 years old. So leadership was always kind of the thing that came easy to me. And I've also been selected, and I presented at many Pennsylvania Music Educator Association conferences and workshops and given many talks at those things. So for my Aspiring Leader project, I was approached by Mrs. Mosley and Dr. Dedish and my principal, Mrs. Morgan, about creating something. We had a bunch of questions that needed answered. How can we provide the much needed math and reading intervention or remediation to our middle school students who are not identified? You know, unofficially, these students get called bubble kids because they're not special education students. They don't necessarily need all of those services of an individual education plan. How do we provide them services? Because they do need a little bit of extra added support. How can we provide the same amount of instructional time across all three middle schools? One thing that we were starting to see is that just by no fault of anybody's, everybody started to have their own morphed schedules. So we were finding different content areas were getting just slightly different discrepancies in instructional time. And then we wanted to address the efficiency of the current middle school schedule. So my Aspiring Leader project was to try and incorporate all of these into a new middle school schedule. So it was a very lengthy process. What sounded like it was going to be very easy ended up being very time consuming. So we met with administrators to discuss their wants, researched different middle school remediation intervention models. I too did a bunch of research about how school districts in the state and across the country were using these remediation intervention models. How can we incorporate these different things into our daily classroom schedules? I researched Pennsylvania Department of Education requirements because if we were going to be doing remediation and intervention, we were going to be taking time away from instruction or time in the school day. So all these little things that I didn't really know existed,